Great. First of all, tell me a little bit about what this last year has been like for Circa 21 and what it means and how it feels like to be able to reopen with the shows starting this week.
Well, we've only been open 2 out of the last 12 months, so it's been a pretty devastating time for us. Obviously, in the 44-year history of this operation, we have never been closed for anywhere close to that amount of time. So starting back in March of last year when we had to close, we had a show that just ended. We had another show with actors from all over the country, Saturday Night Fever, which was here. It was rehearsed. It was ready to go. The set was up when we got word that everything had to close. So at that point, we laid our entire staff off except for 3, and there was about 80 at the time. We just started to accept the new reality, with the great unknown, not knowing when we were going to be back, how long it was going to be, what was going to be happening as far as assistance on the federal side or the local side or things like that. So there were just so many questions that we had. Now, when we got to the fall, we were able to open for 2 months and do 1 show. We were hopeful that we were going to be open again without having to be interrupted, but of course that was not the case. Once again, as with Saturday Night Fever, when we got done with our fall show, our holiday show, our Christmas show that year was all ready to go. The set was built, the cast was already in, they were already rehearsed when we got word. So it was just the same thing almost exactly as it was with Saturday Night Fever, where we basically had to send them home and postpone the show. So fast forward to now, it is just so nice and so encouraging to be able to come back. We waited a little longer than we could have or than we needed to open, but we just wanted to give a little bit more time for shots to get in arms and people to get more comfortable. So hopefully when we opened up this time, we wouldn't be interrupted again and could just continue on and start to get back to kind of business as usual, whatever that means in the COVID era. So it's been very exciting now to have staff members coming back. We had our first public preview last night. People were just thrilled to get back into the building and to see a show and to see live entertainment again. I think people have done the streaming services to death over the last year. They watched everything they wanted to watch on all the streaming services. And even though new ones seem to be coming out every other month, people have kind of done that, been there and done that over the last year. They're ready to get back out. They're ready to start living again. And so we're really excited to be able to open up. We're hopeful with the governor's press conference today that he's going to be opening things up a little bit more. I'm not sure what that will mean for us, but at least we're trending in the right direction. So again, I guess the second part of your question, getting back to business as usual, bringing more and more staff members back, it's just very encouraging and very exciting to be able to get back to what we do, and that's entertaining people.
Okay. What are some of the precautions that you're taking? How are things different reopening under these conditions compared to maybe what you would typically see, in a normal year pre-COVID?
Sure. I felt like that even in the fall, we have gone above and beyond what has been required through the CDC. That's been kind of our guideline through the whole thing, and we've been overly cautious, which I think there's no problem with that. What the Circa 21 experience is now compared to what it was 2 years ago, we are still requiring everyone to wear a mask when you're in the theater and you're moving around. Now, we're not necessarily so concerned about it when you're sitting at the tables, but when you're up moving around, we do require that you have a mask on during that time. We also, for the foreseeable future, are taking our buffets away. Again, that's a precaution so we don't have multiple people touching utensils and everything else and potentially spreading it that way. So we have gone to a plated meal, which is the first time that we've ever done that in the history of the theater for our evening performances. We've always done it for our matinees, but it's nice because, and we've gotten really good response to it. And so what we're doing is we have 4 entree options, and each person picks 2 of the 4, and then that's served with a veggie and a starch. And it's been very, very well received. We're getting a lot of comment cards, both in the fall and even last night, people saying, boy, we really prefer this plated service to the buffet. I hope you're going to keep it. So that is another thing that we're doing. We're staggering our arrival times. So not everybody is arriving at the same time. And it's all based on where you're seated in the theater. And so we give you your arrival time to show up. And then just staying socially distant. We have hand sanitizer all over the theater. And just constant reminders of, we're still in the pandemic, even though it's getting better, we're still there and we still need to be careful. So we've got the appropriate signs up everywhere throughout the theater, just reminding people to keep their distance and, make sure they wash their hands and use a sanitizer.
Um, I'm more familiar with the restrictions in Iowa, which
Mhm.
is where I'm based and report primarily, than Illinois. Are there limitations, or are you restricting like the size of audience? Are you restricting or reducing capacity to space people out?
Yes, we are still operating on a reduced capacity, and so we will be for the time being, until we get word from the governor that we're back to 100% capacity. Now, what that looks like for us is that we're just using every other table. So, we have our theater is like 5,000 square feet. So, I mean, even using every other table, we're spreading people out so much that there have been no concerns that I've been made aware of, either in the fall when we were doing this, or when we were open last night. I mean, people are spread far enough apart that, they're comfortable taking off their masks, once they get in here, and we will continue to operate that way with a reduced capacity until the state of Illinois gives us the okay to go back to 100%.
Okay. Um, Financially, what has the past year been like for Circa 21? I guess how bad was it, and where do you find yourself today?
Well, we were very fortunate in the fact that we'd had several good years leading up to 2020. So we had a bit of a nest egg that we could fall back on. But like most businesses in the country, we were able to take advantage of the federal programs, the payroll protection program. We were able to get that, the first wave of that, which was very helpful. And there was also some local grants that were available. I know Gas and Electric Credit Union here in Rock Island had a grant last summer that we didn't even apply for. They were just handing out money in a grant fund that they had established to Rock Island businesses. So we were able to take advantage of that. We've had other people donate. I mean, we have probably 2 pages of people that have donated money over the last year, which has been very heartening. We're a for-profit. We are not a nonprofit. So, we're not used to the whole donation aspect of the income side. But, people were calling in and sending us checks in the mail, or some people had a credit on their account here at the theater. For a future or for a past reservation had to be canceled or something. And a lot of them would call up and say, just keep the money. We just want to make sure that you're going to be here, and we'll just buy tickets when we're ready to come back. So there was a lot of stuff like that. We work with a burlesque troupe in our secondary space next door. They donated their portion of the ticket income from a show they did recently back to us. So, I mean, it's been just pages and pages of people, and not even just local Quad Cityans. I mean, there's been people from outside the area. We had a gentleman from Indianapolis that donated, I think, $800, and he had been here, grew up in the area, and been here a few times as a kid, and heard about what was going on, and just sent a check in. So there's just been random checks that have shown up from people. So it's been very heartwarming that we've seen that kind of support from the community. Now, I will say, I guess maybe rounding back to some of your question before, financially, this has been pretty devastating. A lot of those resources I mentioned up front, of course, have been spent. Now, the federal monies that we have in have really helped and kind of keep everything afloat here until we can get back open again. So we are certainly thankful, as I think almost every small business and maybe business in the country are, for that federal assistance, both last fall and these other rounds of assistance that are becoming available now.
Okay. What has the past year been like, maybe for you personally, in this role, in this position, and how has it impacted your staff and the performers?
Well, for us, it's a family business. Our family owns the business, and so I think that when March hit, and there was all this uncertainty, obviously there's another layer of stress on top of just being a regular employee and not knowing what's going to happen with your job, but what's going to happen with your family business, and where are we going to make it? How long we were going to be closed for. So there's a whole another layer, multiple layers of worries that were there for us, on top of the fact that we also weren't working. I mean, there was, well, we laid everybody off except for 3. It was my father and I and our business manager were the only ones that were left, and everybody else was laid off. And so it was devastating to have to lay off the entire staff. But again, we weren't, unfortunately, different than most businesses, and so to be able to start to bring them back now, and it has been really good, and to kind of get them back in the swing. And most of them are ready to come back to work. They're tired of sitting at home and want to get back to performing, or get back to work, or just get back to a regular routine. And I think that's the case for us as well, even though we've kind of been going this whole year, but there's been nothing happening, and the building's been empty. other than 2 months. And so it's, you're coming in, and from my day job, which is more marketing and sales, there simply has not been very much to do. We're not marketing anything. We've had some viral shows that we did, over the last year, where we would invite people to come in, and they were either online cabarets or things like that, where people could buy a link to come in and watch the video. And then the money would come back to us. The performers were donating their time. And that was very helpful too during that time when there was no money coming in. But as far as what I do on a day-to-day basis, promoting and advertising and marketing, there just wasn't a lot other than those shows. So it's been kind of a barren, year, but, excited to get back to the swing of the things now, and marketing shows again, marketing concerts, marketing kid shows, and just getting back to doing what we do.
Yeah. So given the long hiatus, and given how long, that building kind of sat unused, what are some of the challenges, or maybe the difficulties now, and then kind of ramping up and trying to get back to normal, and getting ready for the shows that started this week?
Are you talking about with respect to the building? I'm not sure if I totally understood the question.
Well, I guess with respect to the building, but being dormant and having this long hiatus for so long, what were some of the challenges in just getting ready for a production and trying to get ready for a return to normal?
Sure. The building itself is 100 years old, and so there's a lot of challenges that come with a building that old. So I mean, even though we were not open, we were still dealing with some of those challenges as far as heating. Heating this building is incredibly expensive. And so we were trying to take steps to cut cost and just heat the areas that we really needed to heat, and not necessarily heat the others. Like, for example, the inside of the theater, didn't need to be heated. It was basically just a couple of offices that needed heat. So, I mean, there was some work that was put in to try to have that happen, so we could try to cut the utility cost as much as possible. With an old building, there's always things that are happening. So, I mean, it's always kind of a constant thing. And so we were working on those. And of course, as we were starting to set dates, as far as everybody's return, we were trying to get the building in order, get it cleaned, bring housekeeping staff back, bringing our food and beverage staff back. It's washing all the dishes again and over, even though we had done everything and we covered everything before we left in November. It's uncovering everything, running everything through the dishwasher again, sanitizing, doing everything we need to do on the food and beverage side to get back up to speed again, getting all the ovens and freezers and refrigerators all turned back on, making sure they're all running properly, getting them checked, getting inventory in. I mean, we didn't have any inventory basically for the last year, except for that one show we did for 2 months. So our chef is having to order food again for the first time in months, and housekeeping staff is having to order supplies. So it was just kind of gearing up and looking at, what the capacities were going to be, what kind of traffic flow we were expecting, and then just kind of trying to plan accordingly.
Okay. And then, so can you kind of describe what it was like yesterday to see people return and to see them back in the theater? Can you kind of paint a scene?
Yeah, it was really kind of unbelievable. It was just so exciting to see people come in. And even though they have a mask on, so you can't see facial expressions, you can just tell that people were just beaming. And our staff was the same way. To finally, after all of these, after a year, basically, with the exception again of those couple of months, to finally get back to seeing people come in the door, being able to entertain people and to give them that escape for a couple of hours, so they don't have to think about coronavirus. They don't have to think about anything going on in the country or in the world, and just escape and be entertained. And you could just see the excitement with people coming in last night, and it, just wanting that escape and wanting that entertainment again. And we have people call us all the time and said, we're just so excited. We're so tired of being cooped up, and we're ready to go. We're ready to come back for live entertainment. And you could just see that in their reaction. You could see that in their faces last night. And you could see it with our staff too. Our staff was just running around and, extra pep in your step, and really just happy and excited about the possibility of being open again and not having to close.
Great. And then I guess, what can you tell us about this production, or maybe what people can expect from this production?
Sure. The Church Basement Ladies series of shows is the most popular series that we've ever done of any show since we opened in 1977. So people absolutely love these shows. I mean, and I think what makes them so popular is that the premise of the show is it's about four ladies that run their Lutheran church basement in a little town in northern Minnesota. But you don't have to be from Minnesota and you don't have to be Lutheran in order to understand and be able to relate to these women. I think that what we have found and what we've been told over the years is that anyone that attends church regularly can see these four women in their own church basement. Doesn't matter whether they're Catholic or Lutheran or Methodist or Jewish. It doesn't matter. I mean, they can see these women and they can relate to these women, with women that are in their own church. And so I think that's what makes this series so popular and why people just want to keep coming back to all of them. This particular one is the newest one. It's called You Smell Barn. And with a lot of the other Church Basement Ladies shows, the entire show has been spent in the basement of this church, in the church kitchen. This one kind of branches out a little bit and kind of explores some of the home lives of some of these four women that you really haven't seen before. There's a couple of new characters that are introduced. Again, it's all original music. Very, very well written. The songs are fun and the melodies are great and the music is good. So yeah, it's really a lot to like about it. It's not a real serious piece of theater, but it's got some funny comedy in it. So, and good music. So it's just a fun night out, where you, again, as I mentioned before, you can just kind of forget about what's going on and come out and have dinner, and we provide an escape for a few hours for you.
Okay, great. And then just lastly, I know it's hard to make any predictions with the uncertainty of COVID. But can you tell us maybe what the rest of the year, what may lie ahead for Circa 21?
Well, I think that, from what we have heard on the phone and what we've seen last night and what we've experienced in our other theater, I think people are really excited to come back. And so I think as we started with in the conversation, as more shots get in arms and more people are comfortable coming out, we're really anticipating having a strong season. Right now we're still operating under limited capacity. I think we're sold out this weekend already, again, with a limited capacity, but nonetheless, I mean, I think it does show that people are ready. And I think that as we progress through this, assuming there isn't some large spike in Illinois again, I think the governor is just going to keep letting us hopefully put more and more in until we're in phase 5 in Illinois, which is 100% capacity. And I think people are going to come out. I think that people that are possibly a little leery about still going out in public, if they just give us a chance and they come down here and they see how we're doing this, that we're still taking their best interest and their health and safety in mind, I think they'll come down and they'll be very surprised and pleasantly surprised about what steps we're taking to ensure their safety.
Okay.
So we just encourage people to come down and give us a shot, and I think you'll be back.